The seventh flash technique is what I call nightclub. Sometimes you're shooting in an area where there's hardly any light around, or perhaps you're in an event where there's people at, like a wedding, and you want to create a little bit more dynamic light than's there. And sometimes when people are dancing or they're doing these events at nighttime, there could be very little light at all, and it's hard to really get a great shot. So I created this technique that I've been doing for 15 years, and it's a very popular technique, and I'm going to show you how this created a lot of my signature style when I was doing in weddings, but I'm going to tell you how I do it. And you can see the photo and the look that it kind of creates by this picture. And basically what I'm doing is I'm creating backlight against my subjects to give me that nightclub feel. Sometimes I put gels on that backlight. Sometimes, and I usually use complementary colors. So sometimes I'll put like a blue gel on one side and a yellow gel or an orange gel on the other side. And so I can create some colored lighting in the background of them. But the problem is when you use gelled colors on the light, you don't want your subjects to look like they have blue skin or red skin. So this is the one time where I actually use on-camera flash too. It is not my main light, but I need it bright enough just so you can see the subjects. In these actual photos, the way this technique works is the backlight is actually stronger than the front light, and that's how you achieve these looks. So what do I do? Now, every situation is different if you're shooting in a reception hall or some sort of dark hall where the event is taking place. Sometimes there's a lot of ambient light, sometimes there's no ambient light. So you kind of have to adjust your exposure to the way you want it to look. But generally, I set my flashes to 1/16 power in the back corners facing towards wherever that action is. So, for example, if they have a dance floor, I'm taking those flashes and I'm pointing them right in the middle of the dance floor. And usually it's at 1/16 power. Why do I choose 1/16 power? Well, at 1/16 power, it recycles as fast as I can press my trigger. So I never have to worry about recycling at 1/16 power with a standard flash. 2, at 1/16 power, I can get 1,000 photos off of one set of batteries. And so maybe, it's getting near the end of the wedding or whatever I've been photographing all day. I maybe have, 3/4 of my battery power left. That way, if I put it at 1/16, I'm really going to go through one set of batteries my entire wedding that I shoot. Therefore, I want the fast recycle and I want a lot of shots out of one set of batteries. I don't want to keep going up there and changing batteries. Now with my camera settings, I usually have an ISO anywhere between 200 to 1600. Now why does that vary? Like I said before, I don't know the ambient light. Every hall or reception hall has a different ambient light setup. If it's very dark, you can use like 1600 or even 3200. But if it's very bright, and let's say you're using a camera with a very fast lens, like a 1.8 or 1.4, you may be at ISO 200. It just depends on the ambient light of where you're shooting. Then I set my f-stop. I usually like to use lower f-stop, so I'm usually using a lens that has 1.8. So my favorite lens to shoot with in this situation is 24 millimeter at 1.4. Then I do have an on-camera flash because I have to add a little bit of front light once in a while. But I do not want the front light to overtake the backlight. I want more backlight than I have front light. That is the nightclub look. And that's very important to remember that. So if you want to achieve this look, remember that the backlight has to be stronger than your front light. So if I'm in TTL mode and I tell my camera, listen, fire this flash, but I always want it 1 2/3 stops darker than a typical exposure. 1 2/3 is kind of that feeling generally after shooting this style for 15 years that I know that it works. And you can do this in different ways. Sometimes you can fire that flash directly at your subjects, or if you want, you can create an effect where you're shining it up at the ceiling and having that light come up and then back down. A lot of times when I'm shooting in reception halls or just any event places, sometimes their ceiling is black. So there's no use shining your light up to the ceiling because it's not going to reflect down. And so you're going to save the most flash power and get the fastest recycling times if you point the flash directly at your subject. And because it's not full exposure, it's 1 2/3 lower in exposure, it doesn't look super flashy and it has a great look. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these photos that I've taken using this style. Here I am, I'm coming into this dance floor, and what I love doing is using my wide angle lens and getting up real close to people because I want you to feel like you're dancing right there with me. You're feeling the impact and what's going on and the dynamic and the expressions of people. And I love all that. So I use a wide angle lens, but when you use a wide angle lens, you've got to get really close to your subject to feel that environment and motion. I've got my wide angle lens, I'm getting close, I'm in with the action, I'm making you feel like you're right there with me. Then I have my lights on light stands up high, probably around 8 feet or so, firing back through the dance floor so you can see what's in the background, and it gives that little rim light around my subjects that I like and has that nightclub feel to it, even though the lighting wasn't that great here. And then I have my on-camera flash just giving me a little bit of light on my subject. This time I'm firing it up at the ceiling and then it's coming down, and that's why that light seems so soft on my subject. It's not a direct flash on my subject, it's firing up, and then when it comes down, it's nice and big, giving you a very soft look. This next photo, I love doing this technique when you're doing the first dance because you get that backlight. What did I say backlight is? Backlight creates romance. It creates emotion. And so therefore I want to enhance that feeling. I'm going to give that first dance, I'm going to give it backlight if there isn't any. So I have my flashes set up, and then you notice some kind of lens flare, kind of lights and balls. How did I actually create that? I had those little fairy lights that you can get for a few dollars, and I kind of just put them in front of my lens, and I shot it while I was photographing this couple. And so this is actually in camera, those little bit of fairy lights there, and it's just simply by putting something in front of my lens. Outdoors. Now, when you shoot an event with outdoors, you really have to do this technique because there's no lighting, or there's very little lighting when there's an outdoor event. You'll usually get some little lights going across the area where the action is, and you can see that there. In this case, they had a chandelier hanging outside and they had some lights but I wanted to create more light, so I had my flashes right there, shining behind my subjects, lighting up the whole scene and giving it a dramatic feel because I've got a lot of backlight in that photo. Here's a shot of the groom dancing with his daughter, and he was doing a dance with her, and then they kind of broke into this salsa thing, which was pretty cool. And you can see by my camera settings, I'm at ISO 1600 at f1.4 and 200th of a second. If you want to keep motion sharp and tight, in general, you should be over 1/200th of a second. And that's a general rule. When you're shooting sports, you want to be above 500th of a second. But if it's just general motion, you can be around 1/200th to stop that action. So my criteria here, I knew I had to be at least 1/200th of a second to stop that action. And then I changed my f-stop and my ISO to give me the ambient look that I wanted with my flashes going off. Now, if you were to see this with your naked eyes, it would actually look very, very dark in here. But because I can use my flash, I can open up the whole scene and change the entire look of it by using my flash. Another technique that I do is simply just turn off my front light if I want to create that silhouette effect. And so when this couple was dancing, I said, you know what, let me take a few shots. I'm not going to use any front light at all. And I just want to capture that intimate moment of them without any light on them. And it had a very cool effect to it. There was enough light there where you could see them smiling and having a good time and looking at each other. But it was mostly a silhouette. And that rim light, that backlight, simply creates that romance and that emotion. Here's another setting. So not only can you capture the dancing, but other events. And so in this case, they're doing a bouquet toss. I happened to be standing on top of a chair so I could get a higher angle. And so she threw the bouquet up and it was kind of like right in front of me. And I just snapped the picture so I could get that bouquet just right in front of my camera and about to go down where these girls were going to want to catch it. And so here again, the bouquet was in perfect focus. I'm using my flash. And then that lighting, that backlighting was lighting up the rest of the background so you could actually see the girls and the bridesmaids standing behind ready to catch it. If I didn't have that other light, you wouldn't be able to see them. And then the same lighting setup, they're going to their first dance. And so I got that rim light around them. I'm using my on-camera flash to illuminate them the way I want them to look. In this situation, I'm using both techniques. I'm using drag the shutter and also the nightclub technique. So I've got my flashes in the back firing, but I want to change my shutter speed to imply motion. So you can see I was at 2/5 of a second. So how do you set this up? You establish your shutter speed first, and then you set your f-stop and your ISO to create the ambient light feel that you want. So here I'm at 2/5 of a second. And if I want to make it brighter, I can raise my ISO or lower my f-stop. If I want to make it darker, I could do the opposite. I could lower my ISO and I could raise my f-stop. But I'm setting my shutter first because I want to imply motion. Okay? So I do that and I get the exposure that I like, and then I just keep snapping away until I find something interesting. And I love doing this different effects like this because it kind of implies the motion and has a very artistic look to it. So as you can see, my on-camera flash is firing, and the subjects are in a dark enough area where it's kind of creating a tight image, but my shutter is still open, and as I move it around, it's making the lights behind the subject move. So I'm firing. It's freezing the subject into my sensor, and then I move my camera, and now the lights that are behind the subject look like a trail. And so that's how you get this shot. It's the combination of firing your flash, opening up your shutter, and moving your camera to make the lights behind them or the lights in the environment create a trail for you. And so that's the drag your shutter technique with the nightclub lighting. So you can see the nightclub lighting takes an area that could be ho-hum, but gives it that nightclub feel with the backlight and the front light and the gels and the colors. And I just love this technique whenever I'm in this situation.